Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of our videos on the English modal verbs. If you haven't watched the first part yet, our little introduction, then please do so, because there we give you a little introduction, show you the most important English modal verbs, and of course explain to you what's the problem with them. In this part, in part 2, we are talking about can and its negative form can't. Can expressing ability. And if you don't know what ability means, and there's a good guess that you don't when you're watching this video, then I ask you to stop the video now, go to the dictionary and look it up in your language. You need to know the concept of ability. So please stop the video now, look it up, and then you can come back. And we continue with can and can't, expressing ability. Now, we've already told you in the introduction, the biggest problem with the English modal verbs is that you can only use them in the present tense. So, what can you do with can and can't when you put it into the will future? You actually replace it. You put to be able to at the place of can and not to be able to, of course, at the place of can't. So, to be able to is the so-called substitute form, the replacement form. It's exactly the same as can, and it can be put at its place. So, to be, of course, can be put in all the different tenses, like the will future and the past perfect, and then this is the solution to your problems. Let's have a look at the list. So we have the simple present, which can and can't is perfectly all right, but you can, and you know this now, also use am, is, or are able to. It's like I am able to, she is able to, they are able to, or of course the negative forms, I'm not able to, he isn't able to, and they aren't able to. In the introduction, we have already learned that in the simple past, you can use could and couldn't. It's perfectly all right. But now that you know to be able to, you can also use was and were able to. I was able to and we were able to. Or the negative forms wasn't or weren't able to. It's just as good as could and couldn't. Now in the future, in the will future, you cannot use can anymore, and here you have to work with to be able to. It's like will be able to and won't be able to. So please remember, the replacement form for can is to be able to. Let's have a look at a couple of sentences. You can say, he can play the guitar, but it's just all right. It's just as perfect to say he is able to play the guitar. You can say, he couldn't play the guitar last year, but of course now you can also say he wasn't able to play the guitar last year. It's just as good. Or let's make a more complicated sentence. If he had been able to play the guitar 3 years ago, he could have played at my 30th birthday. If he had been able is the past perfect, and here you have to use to be able to. You cannot use the can anymore, and you cannot use the can in the future. So here there's only the possibility he will be able to play in a band next year. Please remember, you can replace can with to be able to and then put it into all the different tenses.